get set. Where them hands, where them holes, where them throws, you know what I'm saying?
Let me start off by saying that this is not a I think I'm better than you video or really even any judgment. This is me looking at a situation as a life lesson when it comes to self defense. And probably because I understand the motivations behind that person that perpetrated the crime, because it's something that I think a lot of people who are minorities and who can be victims of racial slurs, how we feel we should respond, especially as a man, because a lot of times, a lot of men are taught that if someone says something that offends you, you're supposed to punch them in the face or else you're less of a man. And if you're a black man in the United States, you're taught that if somebody calls you a racial slur, you should punch them in the face. And that's how you handle it, and they'll never disrespect you again. Well, that subcultural imperative, because that's not all black people that think that, that's why I'm saying subcultural. Um, this is an instance where your Taekwondo tenets, in my opinion, are better than that. Because dovetailing with another theme I have on this channel, where I've talked about one punch homicides and one hits and the one hitter quitter, where you can hit somebody once and they die. In this story I'm going to talk about that was covered on the Atlanta Black Star and some other media outlets. A man called another man a racial slur. The person who called the slur was basically said, "Say it again." He hit the guy. The guy got punched once, and then he fell, hit his head on the floor, and then he died. So now the young man who was offended is now in jail, and who knows how much time he's going to get. So it says briefly here, Corey Pujols, 27, is facing a manslaughter charge after punching a man who called him a racial slur at a Tampa Dunkin Donuts earlier this month. And the photos from the Tampa Police Department, this is on the Atlanta Black Star magazine. So see, the people that'll hype you up to do something like that and will try to guilt you and shame you if you don't respond by punching a bigot in the face, none of them are going to be there to bail you out. None of that is going to excuse you from being charged by the police. It says here that the racial slur used wasn't specified in the police report. And basically, when he hit his head on the floor, he stopped arriving. It says here when the police arrived, fire crews arrived, the bigot was on the floor and bleeding from his head. He died 2 days later. So see, the death may not necessarily even come right away. So you may think, oh, he just ended up in a hospital. You know, that's what he gets for talking trash to me, for insulting me. But what happened is, it says here, an autopsy showed that the man had a skull fracture and brain injuries that resulted from blunt force trauma. Okay, so Pujols is facing a 30-year sentence, possibly, and he's going to have to use a public defender, according to jail records. The case is under investigation by the Tampa Police Department. And a doctor at the medical examiner's office is ruling the death a homicide. Of course, he's got social media on his side, according to this article. But social media, they're not going to pay for his legal fees. Social media is probably not going to be able to stop him from being sentenced by the judge. So the solution to this problem would have been practicing your Taekwondo tenets. The Taekwondo tenets of self-control, which means you don't react and hit somebody because they called you a racial slur. Practicing courtesy by responding to their ignorance with courtesy. And of course, I love using perseverance. Having a perseverance to keep your ego under control so you can persevere through the ordeal and everybody goes home at the end of the day. Now, I'm going to say this again. This is something I could see anybody doing in the heat of the moment. I don't think that practically any human being is above just lashing out and hitting someone if they call you a name. And especially when I was younger, as much as I didn't like to hear it, now that I'm older, I see the wisdom now. But it still doesn't mean that because I'm older that I am immune to this type of spiritual attack. And that is, if somebody calls you a racial slur, you cannot automatically respond with violence. You cannot hit first. Preemptive striking is not going to help you. Even if you think he called me a racial slur, so I thought that he was going to be aggressive, and from his body language, he looked like he was going to attack me. Yeah, that sounds good, and there are people that will recommend that you do that online. But the truth of the matter is, if you hit them first and they fall and hit their head and crack their skull, and then they end up dying from it, you're the aggressor in the eyes of the law. I'm not a lawyer, so take that note. But according to how things are playing out in this article, that's how things are going to happen. But if you stick with the way that a lot of us are taught to do our classical martial arts training, especially at Taekwondo in this instance, if you don't strike first, if you say, I must use my martial arts for defense, you will wait, but position yourself so that you're reading the body language, so that if the bigot does decide to attack, you can parry or block the attack first, and then counter strike, or just block or parry until the bigot is really starting to do something to overwhelm, and then you strike. But I mean, I've diffused self-defense situations and attacks as an adult with martial arts training by being totally defensive and not hitting. I do understand, though, that's not always possible. But this may be an instance where it was, especially when you consider that the person that he hit, according to this article, it says that he was older than 65. He was 77 years old, according to this article. So he got attacked. Well, he got insulted by a 77-year-old man. Most people are going to think that if a 77-year-old man attacks you, now, depending, again, it depends on who that 77-year-old man is in reality and who you are in reality. But all things being equal, the way you're going to be judged is that if a 77-year-old man attacks you, you don't have to hit him and kill him. What can help keep you from hitting and killing the 77-year-old man that attacks you? Martial arts training. Especially things like Taekwondo, if you don't approach it with a hard yang must kill kick type of approach. And from the judo side of the game, since that's our secondary style that I teach, it is not of mutual welfare and benefit to kill someone because they called you a name. And I really feel sorry for this young man. I really hope that there's a way where he could get less time served or something, or maybe these charges could be dropped or something, because he basically has really hurt his life over a weak moment that I think could happen to just about any human being. And now he's looking to possibly 30 years. So he's 27, he could be 57, he could be older than I am at the time of this video by the time he gets out of jail. And what employment prospects will he have then? Hopefully, if he's in prison, he can get some kind of skill that he can use so that he can level up his job prospects when he comes out. So this is a time when we have to not listen to what our emotions and passions want us to do. And you just have to let some things slide. And I'm not saying this because I want to bring shame on a dude. I feel bad for him, and I also feel bad for the victim. Because if that victim had not thought it was okay to go around calling people racial slurs, he would also be alive as well. Thanks for watching this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this with people like to talk about the martial arts in peace. And as always, thank you for your time.